leading worship by our Director of Faith Development, Angela Warren. We're so glad you have chosen to worship with us today as we celebrate Father's Day and our annual Flower Communion rite. As we gather, we acknowledge that our church is built on occupied land that once belonged to the First Nations people of this region, the Haudenosaunee. Today, we also extend gratitude to all of the water protectors in Minnesota, where over 200 people have been arrested for protesting the continuation of the Line 3 pipeline through the state. We say Nyahweh, thank you in the Seneca language, to those arrested in the name of climate justice, and to all the organizations and individuals who are putting their bodies on the line for the healthy continuation of life on the beautiful blue boat we call Earth.
We begin our time together by lighting the chalice. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more justice and compassion to a hurting world. May the flame we ignite burn brightly in our hearts and shine through our lives. A Father's Day Meditation by Rod Richards. On this Father's Day, we recognize the vast spectrum of experience and the often complicated feelings that surround such a celebration. We honor those fathers and father figures in our lives who have loved, supported, encouraged, and instructed us, and we seek to share these gifts with others. We mourn with those who mourn the loss of a father and fathers who mourn the loss of a child, whether separated by death or estrangement. We support those for whom this day brings pain and sorrow, who suffer abandonment, neglect, or abuse. We support and celebrate the fathers in our midst who give of themselves to their children, recognizing all the strength and wisdom and stamina and love and time and honest introspection that fatherhood requires. We support those men who choose not to have children, yet who are present in loving and supportive ways to children, youth, and adults alike. And we seek to honor wherever we find ourselves today across this vast spectrum of experience and to feel the compassion that embraces us within this silence.
Our service today will be in two complementary parts. The first portion honoring a distinctly Unitarian Universalist tradition, with the second portion being our response to it, taking its message of unity and belonging out into the world. Today we are celebrating our annual Flower Communion, a richly meaningful Unitarian Universalist tradition. This rite celebrates the gathered community, and today, that's all of us, present in body or spirit, linked in isolation and distance. The Flower Communion service is a compilation from several Unitarian Universalist Association sources and original text. The Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion service, which we celebrate this day, originated in 1923, created by Dr. Norbert Čapek, founder of the modern Unitarian movement in what is now the Czech Republic. For some time, Dr. Čapek felt the need for some symbolic ritual that would bind his congregation more closely together, and he turned to the native beauty of the countryside for elements of a communion which would be genuine to the diverse people of his congregation. At that first service in Prague, people were asked to bring a flower of their choice, either from their own gardens or from the field or roadside. When they arrived at church, each person was asked to place their own flower in a vase, signifying that it was by their own free will that they joined with the others. The vase that contained all the flowers was a symbol of the united church fellowship. Later, they were asked to choose a flower other than the one they had brought. The significance of the Flower Communion is that as no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike, yet each has a contribution to make. Together, the different flowers form a beautiful bouquet. Our common bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower, and thus it is with our church community. It would not be the same without each and every one of us. Thus, this service is a statement of our community.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time.
The flower ceremony was brought to the United States in 1940 by Dr. Čapek's wife Maya V. Čapek as she toured the United States. Unfortunately, Maya was unable to return to Prague due to the outbreak of World War II, and it was not until the war was over that Norbert Čapek's death in a Nazi concentration camp was revealed. From this beginning, the service has spread to many of our Unitarian Universalist congregations and has been adapted along the way. Beginning in 1923, the people of the Unitarian congregation in Prague, all the children and adults, participated in this colorful ritual, which gives concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal faith. When the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Čapek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every person to be, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. Dr. Čapek was sent to Dachau, where he was killed the next year during a Nazi medical experiment. This gentle man suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through his flower communion, which is widely celebrated today.
Nearly 100 years ago, the Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek offered his Czechoslovakian congregation a ritual to respond to their questions about how to be a community that welcomed rather than suppressed diversity. Czechoslovakia was a country formed in the aftermath of war, struggling just 5 years after the end of that war with questions of belonging and identity, trust and anxiety. Čapek's ritual took the traditional bread and wine communion that his community was too heretical for and too resistant to these usual symbols and played with this ritual. He turned instead to the beauty of nature all around them and invited each of his congregants to find a flower and bring it to the church one Sunday. That each person would find the flower that was beautiful to them was a symbol of their affirmation that each of us has a piece of the truth, our unique sense of what beauty means. On their way into the church, his congregation was in turn invited, each of them, to place that flower in a vase, which symbolized their free choice to enter into community alongside all the other people that saw beauty in their own way, symbolized by their flowers placed there as well. A free church where people freely choose to walk together across their differences. Once everyone had gathered, they'd bring the vase forward. Then the minister, Čapek, he would bless it. And then he'd invite everyone to choose a flower to take home with them, but just not the one that they came with. Again, this free choice affirmed each person's choice to be blessed by another and to receive with an open heart their different understandings of beauty and to feel connected rather than divided by this difference. In this moment where so many forces seek to divide people, to play on our fears of differences and our anxieties of the other, here we remember that we freely choose to walk together and to be blessed by the differences between us and to see these differences as beauty.
As we close this commemoration of the Flower Communion with gratitude for the life and ministry of Norbert and Maya Čapek, we renew our commitment to live our principles to bring more equity, justice, and compassion to a world that is sorely lacking in these qualities. Norbert Čapek was put to death because his faith was too dangerous for the Nazis to allow him to live. Imagine having a faith that was too dangerous, too compelling, too powerful in its message of love to be allowed to spread its light in a world of darkness. The world desperately needs our message of love and hope. Are we ready to claim our place in the great legacy we've inherited? Are we willing to live a love beyond belief? Just before he was put to death in Dachau, Dr. Čapek wrote this prayer, reflecting on his own life and the state of his spirit. It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. O blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight and everything would worthless seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul. My life was worth living.
Starry realm of heaven, shining distant empires sing, sky song of celestial children, turns each winter into spring, turns each winter into spring. Great you are beyond conception, God of gods and God of stars. My soul soars with your perception. I escape from prison bars. I escape from prison bars. trust that after winter's snowfall, walls will melt and truth will flow. Walls will melt and truth will flow.
This is our second flower communion separated by the COVID pandemic. UU churches across North America have come up with various solutions for enacting this beloved rite, including drive-through flower handoffs, home delivery with a team of volunteers driving to each congregant's home to leave a flower on the front porch, and taking selfies among flowers and sending them in for a video collage, which is what we did, with limited success, last year. As I pondered what we could do this year in this strange time of pre-emergence, I found myself asking, why? Why do we exchange flowers? Why do we pause to remember and lift up Norbert and Maya Čapek and their ministry in Prague in the years leading up to World War II? Why is this story so compelling and relevant in 2021? In a world where difference has become a point of polarization rather than a celebration of diversity, it feels especially important not to lose sight of this piece of our religious heritage. We are the love people, the bridge builders, the ones who look for the spark of the divine in each person and in each expression of life in our universe. As a covenantal faith, we center our relationships rather than individual beliefs. This year, rather than giving and receiving individual flowers in a pageant of reciprocity, I challenge us to extend our communion over the course of the 6 weeks until I return from study leave and vacation in early August. Cut flowers from your garden and share them with a friend or neighbor. Pick strawberries and other seasonal fruit and create something wonderful with them, and then share the sweetness of the season. Give away cuttings from your houseplants. We're creative. We can come up with many ways to express love and appreciation. Write a poem, or copy a sonnet and send it to someone you haven't seen in a while. Draw a landscape filled with flowers and give it to the bank teller or grocery store clerk. It will make their day. And then tell each other about your exploits. Take pictures, share stories, encourage one another to random acts of kindness and beauty. Let's take this beloved Unitarian Universalist ritual and, like a fistful of wildflower seeds, spread it far and wide. Flower Communion 2021 will go down in our church history as the Great Čapek Challenge.
Speaking of sharing, this flower communion seemed a perfect place to share the year's work of the UU Amherst Green Task Force. As one of the Board of Trustees' 3 foci, our original goal centered on recertification as a UUA Green Sanctuary. This recertification requires that our congregation be enmeshed with another organization in an environmental justice project. We were stuck on creating that instead of allowing it to emerge. We concluded, both from our former committee chairs and from other congregations working toward their certification or recertification, that this process actually takes years. We are in fact on pace with the focus on identifying what this environmental justice project potentially is. What happened and is happening does not take the goal of recertification off the table. Our decision to allow an organic emergence is sound and reasonable. We are now literally growing into it. Once we decided to decenter the checklist and to instead focus on relationship building, our group and its momentum gained energy. Just this past week, we made the decision to drop the name task force, which is more short-term single-goal terminology, and instead rename ourselves the Green Justice Team, allowing the long-term commitment that living green out loud requires. Many of the people on the Green Task Force had been involved in Faith Development's 2-year-long climate and environmental justice study, but some had not been able to be there. as we filled the others in about how our studies kept colliding with racial and food justice, a sort of aha happened. That was when we changed our focus to reach out to potential community organizations involved in food justice initiatives, that possibilities began to emerge. We made a list of those food justice organizations. We divided it up and contacted them all. We were awakened to their interconnectivity. Names kept repeating. It ended up that the New York State Black Farmers Co-op and Food for the Spirit referred us to Gail Wells of Buffalo Freedom Gardens. Ms. Gail had initiated this program last year in reaction to the pandemic. It brought garden supplies and vegetable plants to over 50 urban farmers' backyards. She gave a holy yes to our intention to reach out to suburban growers and gather up plants for this initiative this season. Once again, this didn't happen the way we thought it would, but it did happen. There was a time lapse in communication that made the timing to ask growers for leftover vegetable plants awkward. Yet we still wanted to help Freedom Gardens. Another church member and I were set to meet up with Miss Gale on that cold, rainy Friday afternoon of Memorial Day weekend. We thought we would be helping her and others gather supplies and take inventory of the plants they already had. What ended up happening is Miss Gale and I sat in her car, drank coffee, and just met each other. She spoke of having to travel to Naples, New York to pick up plants on Sunday. I thought, well, Naples, that's where Fruition Seeds is. And so I asked if the plants were from Petra, the founder of that very special seed company. And guess what? That's exactly who it was. She's becoming kind of famous and is on our speaker list for the Living Green celebration this fall. Planning to spend that weekend in Rochester, I said, Miss Gale, may I make that pickup for you? I'll already be halfway there, and I never have been able to visit Fruition's seed farm, even though I had been acquainted with Petra and their work for close to 10 years. And she said yes again. On Sunday at 2 p.m. of that same weekend, Petra and her partner Matthew had gathered a shared circle of food justice organizations, including Freedom Gardens, to give homes to their intentionally grown extra plants. We all introduced ourselves and told the story of how these special photosynthesizing friends would come to their own fruition in providing food for those in need. They traveled to various community gardens, urban food forests, buffalo backyards, and even to our church campus. Fruition's intentional extras have landed here without being expected. Our Saturday work and study crew has planted potatoes, tomatoes, tomatillos, and eggplant so far. What a gift. Almost invisibly, like the seed in the ground waiting for the right conditions to sprout and grow into the light, the work of our Amherst Little Free Pantry, Faith Development, and the Green Task Force has collided. It's our own little big bang. In our task force meetings, we couldn't help but begin to talk about the energy our church already has for food justice. We have been sustaining the Amherst Little Free Pantry since the fall of 2018 and have improved our visibility, volunteer base, and community involvement amidst the COVID pandemic. This is truly becoming an enlightening and remarkable evolution. The renamed Green Justice Team will continue to meet on a monthly basis, but also will play a large part in the planning of UU Amherst's Living Green celebration, scheduled for the week of September 27th to October 2nd. We can center our food justice initiatives that week on Food Justice Friday. It will take many minds and hands to bring this expo to fruition. I am happy to announce this collision of our pantry mission and our commitment to living green, and I am here to invite all of you to participate in any small or large way that you can. What will be the gifts that you are able to share? And now, a story about the gifts that are possible through nurturing relationships and engaging in a web of reciprocity.
The story I'm sharing with you is Sustaining the Tree of Life by Reverend Lynn, Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy and sweet and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations' laughter. Laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots. Squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to just buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree. If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn, being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That is ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are. This is where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning, I was able to sit with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by and they sat with me and rested. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. And you were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found someone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. But lucky for you, I am here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, my friend, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. And on his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village? They continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us.
we need to share. So send a smile and show you care. I'll give a little bit, I'll give a little bit of my life for you. So give a little bit, give a little bit of your time for me. See the one with the lonely eyes, who take their hand, you'll be surprised. Give a little bit of your love to me. Give a little bit, I'll give a little bit of my life for you. Now's the time that we need to share. So find yourself, we're on our way back home.
Thank you for joining us in worship today. I hope you have been inspired and uplifted by sharing this time together. If this service has touched your heart, spread the love by sharing the link with others. And please see the credits at the end of this service for information about the music and other worship elements. And do take a moment to visit our website, uuamherst.org, and click on the giving link. Or text your gift to 833-987-1968.
We extinguish our chalice with these familiar words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. Go in peace.
Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy,
There you go. There's so many colors.